welcome to this edition of Business Supes, where we interview local successful business owners and learn a little bit about them and their business, and of course, what their business superpower is. So today I am joined by Eric Brunette from Budget Blinds. Eric, thanks for joining us, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You are certainly welcome. So let's jump right into it. Every superhero has an origin story. So what's your origin story?
Mine is my parents. So my parents have owned a budget blind since I've been in middle school. So I have been around this for a very, very long time. This was one of my core punishments growing up. If I did something bad, I was out with dad installing blinds at no cost with my gas. And so growing up around it, this was not what I had envisioned doing, but I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. We genuinely love owning it and operating it.
Okay, very cool. So, and Budget Blinds is a franchise, I'm assuming?
Nationwide franchise. Yep, we're U.S. and Canada, and I believe we even have a few popping up in Mexico now also. So, yes.
Okay. So if this was your punishment as a kid, are you a glutton for punishment, I guess, by
right. No, back then as a kid, you don't want to be going out and installing blinds, but as an adult, I love it. I love meeting new people. I love going into all the homes I do. I genuinely, there's not many things about the business or the job that I don't enjoy.
Very cool. So you said that you do, it's budget blinds, but it sounds like you do more than just blinds. So what all does the business do?
So we do really anything custom. So we do all sorts of custom window treatments. We do home automation, drapery, cornices, valances, anything really custom fabric. I mean, heck, I've got access to doing bedding. We can do custom pillows. One of my companies offers custom fabric wrapped headboards, or like I said, anything really custom we have access to.
Okay, wow. And did you say home automation as well?
Home automation. Yep, we do home automation, exterior. So we have quite a few options for exterior shutters that a lot of times that falls in the category of blinds and shades, but all custom shutters. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's budget blinds and a whole lot more, it sounds like.
You got it. And the name, so the name can be a little deceiving. The name originated in terms of budget. A lot of people always assumed when you heard budget, it associated with cheap. We had what we called the 5 founders. It was 5 guys that all partnered together and ran the business. And the idea behind budget blinds was there's a blind for everybody's budget. It is since morphed into there's a style and service for every budget. And that's kind of the motto we operate on currently. It does not mean I have cheap product. It does not mean my stuff is, bottom dollar, builder grade. We offer the kind of the complete spectrum. I have that stuff, but that's not what we focus on.
Okay, good. Then that's good to know. Yeah, because you're right. The name does kind of imply that. So you said you grew up in the industry, in the company, and is it a family business for you now as well? Is your
so
family
my wife
involved?
and I own and operate, and then we currently have on staff an installer and are currently interviewing for a salesperson. So it's one of the big variables for me is I wear too many hats. Right now I am doing all the sales, all the operating, all the bookkeeping, all the advertising. So my wife is the core and foundation of this. She does all the scheduling. She keeps every operational wise going, but on the back end, there's quite a bit I do, and it gets to a point where it's too much. So
yeah. Well, and I think every business owner probably, or most business owners, get to experience that, and it's not a whole lot of fun.
Right.
And a lot of times people just say, "Uncle, I give up and I quit." So
Yeah.
kudos to you for continuing to push through and for looking to grow, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You can't scale unless you got people to help you do it. So that's fantastic. So, I know you said you grew up in budget blinds, but what made you decide that you wanted to own your own business and wear all these hats versus just showing up and getting a paycheck from somebody else every day?
Joy, desire, and I didn't, a lot of people come into owning a business with the idea of thriving and financial and controlling schedule. I came in, so our story is a little different. When I'm originally from Wisconsin, that's the territory I ran for my parents. When my wife had our second child, he was a postpartum, or he was a NICU baby, and my wife dealt with horrible postpartum depression. And my son was born in January, so in Wisconsin, it's cold, it's dark. He was in the NICU. My wife was just in a really dark space, and it was at that time I'm like, this is no longer home for us. So it was at that point we kind of needed to figure out what we were going to do. My wife wasn't striving. It wasn't good. So I genuinely love what I do with all my heart. I cannot imagine doing something else. I have so much fun. Like I said, I really enjoy this. So I had I had the mentality of, I made the mistake a lot of business owners do. I was a technician, but I wasn't a manager. So I was like, oh, I do sales, I do installs. I was in charge of my advertising. It was mom and dad's money, but I was in charge of it where it went advertising. I'm like, I can do this. So kind of got that, oh yeah, we can do this, and decided I was going to start my own. My wife is originally from here. I came down for college. That's where we met. And that's kind of what brought us back. Is my wife's family's here. We have a 7-year-old daughter. She's got 4 cousins that are all the same age within a 5-minute drive of us. So it just made more sense, a lot more family friendly. I was familiar with the territory. So that's really what kind of kicked into, let's go own a business in Oklahoma. But the reason I didn't go to work for anybody was the fear of, that was more of a fear concept of, I've been doing it for 8 years by myself, ins and outs of running. I didn't own it, but I ran the territory for my parents. Going to work for a different budget blinds, I was really concerned there would be 2 style clashes, and I didn't want to bring a bad circumstance to another budget blinds.
Okay. All right. So are there a lot of other budget blinds in Oklahoma?
So we own technically 2 franchises. We have a territory north of us, which Owasso, and then I think there's a total of 3 or 4 in OKC. So not a ton. Oklahoma has a lot of rural area. So when it comes to purchasing, we purchased our franchises based on how corporate breaks them up. A lot of these territories take up so much countryside that they're not worth what you would have to pay for them, essentially. So
with that being said, then what does the future hold for you? What does that look like?
Right now it's we growth. I mean, we have a lot. We had the best year we ever had, the best year I've personally ever had last year. With that though came a lot of struggles and a lot of things that we saw that needed to be addressed. While it was a goal of mine to hit the numbers we did, I regret doing it by myself. I put on the hat of sales and set down the hat of owner, and I focused on sales. And there was a lot of stuff that fell through the cracks on the floor that wouldn't have had I been wearing the business hat. So that's kind of why we're looking into hiring a salesperson. This year, once that salesperson is good and going, my next big endeavor is going to be, we want to do a local TV commercial. We do a ton. I try to keep all my advertising dollars as organic as possible. We have a national advertising fund that we pay into with our royalties and all that. But beyond that, we get to kind of say and choose where our advertising bucks go. I don't throw a ton at Google. I don't throw a ton online. I try to keep a lot of my stuff organically. And it's had phenomenal success for me. That's not to say we won't start throwing stuff online, but we need the help on. I can't do that all myself. So To bring on a TV commercial and still be by myself, there'd be, last year I was booking at my peak, I was booking almost 4 weeks out, and I was losing sales. I mean, we were losing money doing that. So we definitely need to bring somebody in before we start trying to ramp up call. I mean, even as we sit now, I'm 2.5 weeks out. So
okay. Wow. Yeah. And you make a good point, because it's really important to have multiple lead generation streams coming into the business. And so many business owners I talk to, it's like, we're predominantly referral based, which is great, but you can't necessarily always count on that. So knowing that you got different levers working for you, I think is really, really important. All right. So here's the question everybody's been waiting for. What is your business superpower?
Oh, I would say knowledge. And that's kind of an odd one, but we strive to be ahead. So, and that you have to be smart to stay ahead. We just kind of talked about it in terms of advertising. We don't rely on a single source. We do multiple. We don't do one event and that's it. We're constantly looking for new events to be a part of. We're constantly looking for new endeavors. We are constantly I've been doing this for 10 years, and 2 weeks ago I was at a training on how to install shutters. There's always something to learn. You can't just continually run the same rut, because eventually that rut takes further and further and further down, and where do you go from there besides down, right? So we try to continually advance not only our knowledge but our experience in the industry, and do everything we can to set ourselves apart, not only as a business but to our clients.
Okay. Yeah, and there's something really to that, right? Being able to differentiate yourself, because there are so many other businesses out there that do the same things as we do. So being able to say, hey, here's what makes us different is a great great strategy as far as being able to convert leads into clients. So awesome. Right. All right. So last question here. What nugget of advice do you have for other business owners?
Delegate. Like I said, delegate. So for me, it comes out of the reason I did it so long by myself is it almost comes out of fear. This doing sales by myself, it genuinely becomes like a child. You love it and you nurture it, and you do everything in your willpower to set that up for success. And to take a baby and just say, here you go, don't let it die off. That's terrifying. Right. So, but you also, with doing that, you get to a point where you're also harming it. You know what I mean? You're not right now, I'm holding a baby, but it can't grow because I'm so far out. You know what I mean? I'm kicking myself in the foot. So that is one of our biggest, or my personal biggest goals this year, was to delegate, start sourcing some of this out. It was my bookkeeping. I do all my bookkeeping, but I talked to my accountant, hey, I'm going to need you during my busy season. I'm going to send over, the statement. I need you to do it. On my slow season, I can do it. But in the past, it was, sorry, kids, I've got to go up on Saturday and work for a few hours because this week was crazy. We went into business so I could spend more time with the kids on the weekends. Once I start coming in on weekends, then what was the point of this whole endeavor? Right. So delegating is my biggest fee, and not to be fearful of it. It's easy to look at, with hiring this new salesperson. My wife is my absolute rock, and I keep saying, I'm like, oh man, that I've got to do this. We've got payroll's going to be this, workers' comp's going to be this. We've got a van. We've got, the list goes on, and you can spiral all of these things you got to buy. And then she goes, yeah, but you also you have 2 sources of sales. We have 2 sources of income coming into this business. We can do the commercial, so on and so forth. So you got to look at both sides of that coin.
Absolutely. That's fantastic advice. Fantastic advice. Well, Eric, thanks so much for taking some time to chat with us today and sharing your business superpower with us. We certainly do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.